Korean say, 안녕하세요. American say, peace be upon you. But guys, here I am Indonesian and also Muslim. I'd like to say, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce myself. I'm Imelia Nabila and I'm from English Department of Jember University. So guys, today we're living in the 21st century with the accelerating technology revolutions. But are you guys really sure that our young generation are ready to face the future economy for our nation? Well, the generations before us had passed their challenges. They built this nation after devastating wars and they navigated the globalization and industrial change along the period of development. But now it's our time as the young generation to face tomorrow's economy that is full of technological advancement, globalization, and uncertainty. But then, let me ask you, have you guys ever imagined what will the economy look like in 20 years from now? Who will create more work fields, industries, or even lead the innovations that society desperately needs? Here is the fact we cannot ignore that more than half of the world's population today are under the age of 30. Unfortunately, in this brilliant and productive era, the youth unemployment in Indonesia is rising and becoming one of the greatest challenges of our time. This is why young leaders or the Z generation needs to realize that they matter because they're not just the leader of tomorrow but also the agent of change and development of our country. Ladies and gentlemen, let's imagine this. You've just graduated, you've got your degree, your energy and your big dreams. You're ready to walk into the job market but then suddenly the door doesn't open as wide as you thought. That is the reality for so many young people in Indonesia because we cannot deny that the job vacancies are fewer than the graduates and the opportunities don't always match our skills. Maybe that's one of the reasons why Indonesia has one of the highest rates of youth unemployment in Asia. According to our national statistics, the youth unemployment rates reached 16% of more than 44 million Indonesians aged 16 to 24. You know what's the worst is? That is 3 times higher than the international average. And it doesn't stop right there because almost 1 out of every 4 young people in Indonesia are in the condition that we call need. Not in education, not employment, not even in training. And now the world of work field is changing fast because the automation of artificial intelligence and the global shifts are rewriting the rules faster than our schools and the training programs can keep up. So the hard truth is if young people are left behind, it's not just their future that are at risk, but also the nation's future. Because if the youth as the massive power and the source of innovations can't move forward, then how can our economy get better? Ladies and gentlemen, since we're talking about why this issue is important to discuss, maybe some of you are questioning why am I emphasizing that this youth takes the big responsibility. Because I think the problem was that much from the young people. So if young people is the part of the problem, then they must be the part of the solution too. Why I say that? The first reason is that we get it. We are the young generation, we understand the future better. And it is the fact that we grew up with the technological advancement, globalization and social media. We see the future economy as a reality, not just a theory. We are aware of the importance of digital skills and emerging industries, and we know how innovations actually works. The second reason is that we are not afraid to take risks and bet to success in the business world. Why I say that? Because the generations before us, the older generation, tend to be cautious. What about us? We do experiment. We establish startups, explore new markets, create apps, new platforms, and even industries that were not existent a decade ago. This kind of generation is what the economy growth needs. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're asking, are we as the young generation or the Z generation really ready to face the future economy of Indonesia? Ready or not, we are a necessity that needs to take action and overcome this issue. But that brings us to the real question right now. How do we turn this potential into real impact? Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's make it clear. If you think that the problem will go away on its own, then that is a big mistake because we can't wait anyone to fix this problem. If you don't start, then nothing will start. So, to handle and overcome this issue, I have some advices for you all and for me as the Z generations. The first one is starting with something simple, that is building real skills or soft skills. So in fact, we see that we usually memorize theories for exam, and then the theory just ended up there and you already get a score. We know that most of students today just study to get a good score rather than real skills. And I invite you to think critically and try to learn to speak in public, because let's be real, a certificate might get us called for an interview, but the real skills are what keeping us in the room. For example, you understand the theory of marketing really well, but you don't have the ability of public speaking. So wouldn't it be in vain? That is why I say that it is important for us to have good soft skills to engage our soft skill at the same time. And the second advice from me is that we have to dare to create. Why I say that? Because I often heard many people say starting a business is only for people with big money. But you know what? Every big company we know today started with a small one. Even company like Indofood, online shop, Shopee, Tokopedia, and local cafe, etc. They were just a seeds of today's economic growth. So I think it's not wrong to start a business from a small one. And ladies and gentlemen, when I was thinking about starting a business, I think we need to think about the long run too, because we all want more jobs, income and opportunities, but we also need to think about the sustainability of this environment. So the solution of that, we still can create a business, but we need to think that it must be environmental friendly business to help the sustainability of our earth. Why I am saying that we need to create jobs too, create a business and open a work field, because this is actually a concern for most of young people in Indonesia that are dreaming of a definite job like civil servant, banking, doctors, etc. We know that the job vacancies are fewer than the graduates, then where will they go with their skills? Just right? They have their degree, but they don't do anything with that, and sometimes they're just working out of the majority of their study. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's why I'm saying that we have to have a good soft skills, and we have to dare to create as the young generations. We have to be the seeds of tomorrow's economic growth. And I think when we pass the torch into the next generation, we need to hand them a hope, not just a headache. Well, ladies and gentlemen, on the whole, the challenge is already in front of us. The world will not slow down just to wait for us to be ready, because the technology will keep advancing, the economy will keep changing, and the competitions will only get tougher. So, my question is, will we just stand still, or will we rise and take action? We, the young generation, are not a problem to be solved. We are the solutions that this nation needs. We are not just a hope of tomorrow, but we are the action of today. So ladies and gentlemen, I invite you as the young generation, we have to be the agent of change. Let's start today. Let's stop doubting, stop waiting, and start building. Because if we don't start, then no one will. We, every single one of us, is important part of this nation. Well, I need you guys to think for the sustainability of this world, and we need to give the next generation a legacy of growth, hope, and innovations rather than a despair. Well, ladies and gentlemen, respectable judges, that's all that I can deliver in this golden opportunity. And last, I say, let's find that every decision we make, no matter how small it is, it has a difference. By working together, we can build a future where harmony between the humanity and environment is not just a dream, but a reality. Well, that's all from me, and stop thinking, start doing. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.